Is everybody in?
Welcome to Damo's no-nonsense film reviews with Screen Goats. I'm Jordan Lee McGrath.
I'm Damien McAvoy.
And today, Damo, we are going to review
Creed 2.
Ralph Breaks the Internet.
And The Christmas Chronicles, our first ever Netflix film review representing the incredible times in which we live.
Okay.
If we don't do what we love, then we wouldn't exist.
It's time, kid. Now you know what you're fighting for.
Creed 2, talk to me.
Desperately disappointing overall. I had seen Creed 1 and thought it was very good. Gave it 7 out of 10. So had decent expectations for it, but wasn't sure how it could continue on with the same quality. And boy, was I right, unfortunately, because would love to have it been very good, but it was dreadful. And it was the script, which in so many of these cases lets it down chiefly, in this case as well. Starts off and he wins the world boxing heavyweight championship. The fight, for me, not particularly convincing at all. The lead up to it just doesn't look realistic. And then it descends into complete farce after that, because the number one contender to his title, completely unknown to him, is Ivan Drago's son. So he just forgot to look at the rankings for the previous number of years and didn't realize that the guy whose father killed his dad was now number one in the rankings to rival him.
Stallone on his Instagram account said this is going to be his last involvement in Rocky.
And ironically, one of his better performances. There was nothing wrong. You know, he played his part very well. It's just that the script around it was desperately weak.
So Creed 1, I thought, I was like, this is probably one of Sylvester Stallone's best acting.
Yeah.
Like, he delivers lines and they actually just like they had meaning rather than they had action. But the story just, it didn't capture me, Creed 1. Like, it was good. It was entertaining. What I'm hearing now, Creed 2 is a formula movie again.
It is, and it's desperately worse than the first one. So if you didn't like the first one, well then absolutely forget about even putting yourself through 2. But even if you like the first one, I would recommend the same as well. I would leave it at that and not taint the original, in inverted commas, of Creed with this one. Because again, like so many sequels, Kingsman, same thing as well. Really enjoyable first film that's completely let down inexplicably by awful writing in the second one. It just doesn't work.
What's your rating?
I'd give it a 3 out of 10. So 3 is awful, but it's not 0 either. You know, the acting of Michael B. Jordan and Stallone has to be some kind of nod to it, but farcical script lets it completely down.
Okay, well, there's no nonsense there again.
Never.
Let's roll our next one.
Hey, kid! Wake up!
Ralph, what is wrong with you?
Start churning butter and put on your church shoes, little sister, because we're about to blast off!
Ralph, what is it you're trying to say?
We're going to the internet.
What?
Work it, make it, do it, fix it, work it harder, make it harder, do it faster,
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the internet!
Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Interesting. Didn't have huge expectations for it and was very pleasantly surprised. Wasn't surprised to see that it shared writing and direction by the maker of WALL-E and of Zootropolis / Zootopia. Really strong writing, great message, and you look back at it and the message should have come across as really corny, but didn't. It was basically, having appreciating your friends and sticking by them. The premise of it was two chief characters, Wreck-It Ralph, they're game characters for video games, and they live in a world within those machines all together as a society, and have many adventures. So what happens is that their video machine breaks in the arcade, and the owner decides not to replace it because it's too expensive to get a new joystick for it. So they decide themselves to go into the internet and to get one.
John C. Reilly doing the voice of Ralph.
Yeah, very good. Very solid. Actually, more impressed with Sarah Silverman.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't be a massive fan of her comedy,
Yeah.
but her voice is just perfect.
Isn't it interesting the way that for animation that they bring in these famous people to do it?
It is, and it's probably a general scandal that you would pay them $1.5 million to chat into a microphone for a few hours. And there's no particular reason for it. I would be as happy to watch it voiced by people who I don't know, probably even better, because if you hear somebody that you've seen in previous films, you kind of associate the on-screen character with that person, whereas the on-screen character should be just that, as opposed to, oh, that's Kevin Hart.
So all in all, this is good. New movie by Disney. And what are you going to give it?
I'll give it a 7. I would say it is for your tween market more so. I don't think like a 5 or 6 year old would find it fine, but just a little bit complicated plot wise. It's more for your 9, 10, 11 year old, I would say, but enjoyable at all levels. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was particularly funny, but the story was good. There was lots of clever things in it. Watch the credits afterwards as well. It's one of those films that has little surprises halfway through the end of the credits.
Let's move on to our final one.
We should make a video. Maybe we could get a shot of Santa Claus.
You really have no clue, do you? Nobody's ever seen Santa Claus.
Tell me you're getting this. Do you realize how big of a deal this is? We need to get a closer look.
Are you crazy? Duck!
Can he see us?
I don't think so.
Up, Cupid! Up, Comet! Up! Ah! Hold on to something!
Santa Claus?
Live and in person. One night only.
Can you go ho ho ho?
I don't go ho ho ho. That's a myth.
Damo, The Christmas Chronicles.
It started off really strong. The first 20 minutes, it was shaping up to be a Christmas classic. It was, an interesting modern day tale of an American family who'd suffered the loss of their dad, trying to get through it. There was a teenage boy and a preteen girl, and they were squabbling aplenty, and you could see parallels in modern life, and it was depicted very well. But then when the Santa bit came into it, that's when it collapsed horribly. Is that they recorded a video every year, and they were looking back on these videos because it was evoking nostalgia about their dad who had passed during the year. And the girl spots something in one of the videos, and she rewinds it, and suddenly sees an arm, a red arm, which looks to be from our portly giver of presents, good Saint Nicholas himself. So she bribes the elder brother, who she has spotted stealing a car with his friends, as you do, to set up a video camera to be able to catch him on camera properly. So they set it up, and then of course they fall asleep and don't capture him, but do towards the end as he's making his exit, and they make it outside to the sleigh, and the slate takes off at breakneck speed. And just from then on, it just descends into complete farce. And I know you're going to expect an element of that anyway, but it just doesn't work.
I was like, oh my God, this is a bit like a Hallmark Christmas story, the way they were dragging it out, but with a lot more money in the budget.
Yeah.
And then it just takes this complete U-turn.
You know, and the message was all wrong as well. You had, joyriding is okay, and, wildly dangerous, violent, high-speed car chasing going on and being driven by a 15-year-old. What's hilarious about that?
Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell did well with what he had, but again, if you have that awful storyline and really poor script, then there's very little you can do, and he didn't. I don't think he was the best casting of Santa Claus we've ever seen, but he did a fine job in itself, but couldn't rescue anything.
What would you give it?
I give it a 3, purely for the strong start.
3, Damo.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it. I couldn't watch it through. I stopped
like a Christmas tree.
See what you've done there again. And our non-Irish viewers will particularly appreciate that in our pronunciation.
Okay, Damo, let's do a quick roundup where we are. Creed 2.
3 out of 10. Awful script, totally unbelievable, farcical scenes in it. Decent acting, but that'll only bring you so far if the script and the storyline doesn't be up to scratch, which it wasn't. 3 out of 10.
Ralph Breaks the Internet.
7 out of 10. Very good. Looks brilliant. Has huge amounts of cleverness to it throughout. Not laugh out loud funny most of the time, but humorous nonetheless. Very decent watch. 7 out of 10. Very good.
The Christmas Chronicles.
3 out of 10 from me. Very strong start. Very promising. Completely collapses. Becomes utterly farcical. Unfunny. Horrible message that comes through to it. Totally unbelievable. Poor.
Wow. Did I call that bad humbug? I don't know. And scene.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.